Welcome into the I-80 Boys College Football Show. I'm Christian Hunt, and that guy right down there is
Chris Vaca. How's it going, Christian? How you doing on this fine Wednesday evening?
I'm doing better than I deserve. How'd you say you were doing again?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Yeah. Football's right around the corner. We got a couple big games Friday night, man. Actually, a couple good ones, to be honest with you, better than what they normally put on for Friday night. So, yeah. And then obviously Saturday. There's a slate of decent games on Saturday for sure.
Yeah, like you said, Chris, a lot of great games on this weekend. I mean, this is kind of the low point, and then I think after, there's a couple of really good games on this week, and we'll kind of get to them here in a bit. But yeah, I mean, as we keep going, the games only get better and better. So I like that. First, we'll talk a little bit about some news going on here. USC keeping it rolling on the recruiting trail, so that's good. Penn State, their leading tackler from last year, is out hurt. Does this affect Penn State, you think, at all, or just general thoughts?
They said long-term injury. Yeah, probably a little bit. They got a big game against Ohio State, I think, in a couple weeks. So they're going to want him against them. But yeah, never good when you lose your leading tackler, Christian.
No, sir. No, it is not. Wake Forest, they're swapping with Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin was really pissed about this. I think he actually talked about this after the game where they swapped out with Oregon State or something like that.
Oh,
Wake
really?
Forest decided to do, yeah. Lane Kiffin, I think, was really pissed off about it. Made some comments.
Huh. Interesting. I did not know that.
ACC, Clemson, and Florida State are going to renew revenue talks because they cannot afford the buyout and realized after some of their losses that why would they want to leave ACC and go play real football?
Yeah. I just laugh anything with Florida State in it, man. I mean, nobody wants Florida State anyway. They threaten to sue their own conference about every other day. So, yeah, why would any other conference want them? But, yeah, I'll be honest with you, Christian, as a college football fan, I wish, honestly, I'm not for this big expansion that's going on. I'm really not. I kind of miss even, by the way, they're bringing back the Pac-12. It just got about a bunch of Mountain West teams in it coming up here in 2025, but I like it, man. I want the ACC to be good and have good teams in it, man. It makes college football fun. I don't want this two-power conference thing, which everybody's talking about.
Yeah, I don't want that either, man. Like I said, I want to, if anything, I'd want them to kind of split back up a little more, kind of go a little more regional. You'd have to have some major money start moving and some people start kind of offering some things. I don't know if they can necessarily do that, but hey, man, you never know. Money talks in this day and age, and so we'll see what happens. I mean, yeah. I'd love to see a conference where it's the Kansas schools, the Oklahoma schools, some of the Texas schools, and like Nebraska and maybe Iowa kind of just make their own freaking conference. That'd be kind of cool for me, right? Maybe Missouri jump in there too.
Yeah, you get the old Big 12 back together, yeah, or even the Big 8 before then when I was a kid. But yeah, no, I like the. I don't want to call them mini conferences, but I like the way they used to be honest with you. Like I said, if I want big conferences, go watch the NFL, man. They got the AFC and the NFC there.
Tennessee Volunteers increasing their tickets to help pay their athletes. What are your thoughts on that, Chris? You for or against it?
Bullshit. How much more money do these schools need for the fan to pay for? Why don't you just say that the ticket costs what it is? Why do you got to add the 10% on there? I don't like that. There's a whole segment about that, and I just hate that. You know what I mean? Like I do. Like when you go out and you pay your electric bill or you pay your bill, it's got like 40 different fees on top of it. You know what I mean? Like I wish they'd just say like here's your total.
Yeah, no, and I agree with that because I mean, like let's be honest. Regardless of whether you're paying them, like you pay if you're a donor to this, right? Like if you pay to some collective or you donate to the university athletic fund or you are getting charged, like do you really know what you're paying for? You know what I mean? Is that money really going towards these kids or is it going towards something else? Yeah,
it's not. No, that's my problem with in Tennessee's not the only university to do this. There's all of them do this. We need a new practice field, we need this, we need that, we need this, we need that. And it's like, Jesus Christ, man. They used to these deals, these TV deals are like 100 million. What are they doing with that money? You can only spend next year 20 mil cap is for NIL, by the way, next year. That's the max. So where's all this other money going to? Why do you keep asking us to pay for more? The fan.
You're exactly right. I want to touch on this. College game day should have been at the Utah game. Do you think that's true, Chris? Do you think they should have gone to the Utah game against Oklahoma State? Or I'm assuming they're going to Tennessee, Oklahoma, right?
That's a good question. Can you let us know where they're at? I don't even know. They're definitely not going to USC Michigan, are they? Because they already went to that one when Michigan played Texas. But I wouldn't mind that if they went to Utah, Oklahoma State. I think it's a big game for the Big 12. I think you're probably right, Christian. It's probably Tennessee and Oklahoma would be my guess.
Yeah, they're they're headed there for Tennessee and Oklahoma.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, again, that Tennessee Oklahoma game is a big one. The Utah, I would assume. Well, I mean, hell, I mean, I guess the Fox, whatever do they call that? The Fox pregame, whatever thing they do for Fox. I would assume they're probably going to USC and Michigan again.
Yeah, I don't know. He's got a point, though. I would understand. I'd be a little pissed off about that because Utah's a pretty damn good team. Oklahoma State, obviously, is 3-0 as well. Should be a good game. I always wondered how game day determines which one to go to for years now. You know what I mean?
And what pisses me off is sometimes there's primetime matchups and they don't even go to the games. They'll go to some random game somewhere. You know, I mean, that's like you said. Yeah, I've always wondered how they do that. So I wonder if it's like predetermined or what they're doing.
I don't know. Oh, I'm with you. It is weird. I wish I knew.
All right, Georgia's. I think it's a left tackle there, Tate Ratledge. But maybe a left guard. He's an All-American. He's out. Probably going to be out until about the Florida game after having an ankle surgery. So it's a pretty big loss for Georgia as they get ready to go take on Bama this here in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, no, you never want to lose players, but unfortunately, this is what happens to every team. But yeah, Georgia's going to need everything they got for that one.
Speaking of Georgia and just the governor, Brian Kemp, signed an executive order now that makes it legal for Georgia schools to pay kids NIL. So I think really the reality of that is just in all honesty, looking at that now, they've already been paying them, but they can actually do it and they can be a little more transparent about it and they can actually have access to a little more funds there. And so that'll be just in the spirit of being competitive. I think that'll be something that'll be good to look for there.
No, absolutely.
Air Force emerging as was that the American Conference or whatever the hell that is, the AAC?
Yeah, that's the
American Athletic Conference.
Yep.
And so they're I think Navy and Army are already in that conference. So
yeah,
why not throw Air Force in there?
Yeah, when the F is Notre Dame going to get one? Or they just no wait, they never will. That's right. Don't even get me started.
Yeah. Chris, we'll talk about some games here just kind of coming up a little bit. Well, we'll just probably start with some of the big matchups. Just kind of talk about some big matchups. We'll get into all the other ones on Saturday. We got a lot more time to do that. So we're looking at Illinois taking on Nebraska. I mean, that's a pretty major game for you guys, right?
Yeah, this one should be good. Obviously a night game, which will be huge. I mean, we've talked about it a little bit on our preview and prediction video, but I think this game's going to be close, man. If you look at the stats, and I'm not one of these guys that just, relies on stats here, Christian, but like both teams are very similar. Defensively, give up a lot of the same numbers. Both have played a Power 5 school already. We know Illinois beat Kansas, actually, who was ranked at the time. Nebraska beat Colorado. I don't think Colorado's that good, but I mean, offensively, a lot of the same numbers. Raiola and Luke Altmaier's numbers are very similar. Yeah, I think this one's going to be a good one, dude. I really do. I hope Nebraska wins by 40, but that ain't probably going to happen. But I do think this game will be a really good football game, man. I really do. What about you?
I think it's going to be a closer game than what a lot of people think. Me, like you said, first of all, it's a Friday game, Friday night game. Let's just put it that way. It's a Friday night game. We see weird shit happen outside of the regular Saturday slate of games. I don't know why it just happens. That's kind of one indicator of it. The second thing for me is, Chris, and something that I think you touched on a little bit. Nebraska has only really played. They seem to only play one half of football thus far. Outside of the UTEP game against Colorado, even against Northern Iowa, right? They kind of took their foot off the brake, I feel like, in both those games. And that's something that if you do that against a team like Illinois, there might be some things where if you let Illinois hang around in this game, they can figure out a way to make it a close game pretty quickly. So I think Nebraska on paper should beat the dog shit out of them. But as we well know, the games aren't played on paper. I think Nebraska most likely will win. It's just going to be a matter of what the final score is going to be. They got this game set at Nebraska -8.5. I would almost lean taking Illinois, +8.5 in that one. I think it'll be inside of a touchdown.
Yeah, I actually just put my bet in before the show started. I got it at +9. I took Illinois. Not because I'm rooting for Illinois. I just never bet on Nebraska, obviously. But big thing here is, man, I do. Brett Bielema, he's a good coach. I think he's kind of underrated. He likes physical lines of scrimmage. Illinois is going to be able to actually, the Altmaier's throwing the ball incredibly well this year. Always has really good defenses. Illinois 2 years ago had the #1 defense in college football, believe it or not. Yes, that was against a bunch of crappy Big Ten teams, but regardless, they're kind of on the same pace this year, to be honest with you. So yeah, I do think this game is going to be close. One thing I will say, I want to bring this up, Christian. We didn't throw it in our video yesterday, but Illinois has 9 takeaways this year. That's pretty damn good. So they've been good at getting turnovers. I know we haven't turned the ball over much. I think we're +3 as far as turnover margin goes, but we always say this. Usually the team that wins the turnover battle wins the football game.
That is true. I mean, that is true. Unless you're Florida State. So yeah, no, I don't know. Did they win? I don't even know if they win. just love shitting on Florida State.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. After the lawsuit's done, Chris, we're going to have more money in Florida State.
Yeah. No shit, dude. No shit. That's called poverty right there, right now.
Jesus. Well, let's do this. We'll do some roll call here. We got Children of the Corn. We got, I always struggle with this guy's name. Is it Monkeever? 2181, Oklahoma State fan there. Showing some love to the Pokes. You got to love it. We've got, what's his favorite? The Big Gator fan too, a.k.a. I'm pretty sure that's the Swaggerness, a.k.a. The next Florida head coach in waiting. Gator Swag out there. We got Zach Gleason there as well. Happy Wednesday, y'all. We obviously we appreciate all the support we get on the channel, man. It really means a lot to us. Got to building the fan base here. Building the fan base. We love it.
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, guys, happy Wednesday night as well.
Because I want to just touch on this one. NC State versus Clemson. I mean, I think this game was going to be tried to be hyped up, but
if NC State would have lost even to Tennessee by like 10 instead of 41, I could see a way, because NC State did beat Clemson last year, but I just don't see it. And you told me, Christian, is that right? Grayson McCall's out, right? The quarterback of NC State.
He is, yeah. And
they're starting some freshman kid. I'm with you. I think the spread's already -21 on this game. I just think Clemson goes in, or Clemson's at home even. I think they beat the hell out of them, honestly. NC State was a kind of a fairy tale this year. A lot of hype in the offseason. They won, 8 or 9 games last year. A lot of those same players back for the most part. I just didn't work out.
Oh, I agree with you. I mean, it's just, yeah. I think Clemson rolls in this one. Starting a freshman quarterback on the road at Clemson, I mean, not an easy thing. So I think Clemson's going to roll in it. I want to touch on this one. Florida taking on Mississippi State. We've been critical of Florida, you know what I mean? But I'm going to be honest. I said this coming into the year. Mississippi State's going to be one of the worst programs in the SEC, and they damn sure are. Who'd they lose to last week? Was it Toledo?
Toledo. And
remind me, Chris, just roughly, what was the score off the top of your head to that game?
I believe it was like 31-7, I believe.
Well, buddy, I got something to show you. It was 41-17.
Okay. Yeah, how bad is Mississippi State, Christian?
Chris, they're garbage, hot garbage. So hot garbage. In fact, I'm taking Florida. I got in on this at Florida -4.5. I think it's now up to Florida -6.5 to win this game. So yeah, I mean, not great over there. It's so bad, in fact, that after I think 2 games this year, they wanted to fire their coach that they just hired. Mississippi State fans were.
Yeah, and I want to throw this out there at you because I know you're a Florida fan secretly. Damn it. If Florida would happen to lose this football game, do you fire Billy Napier right out there at midfield?
On the spot. You have to. I mean, even the Gator man's saying, I want Florida to lose so Billy's gone. I mean, look, I need him to win this one. You know what I mean? Just please, for the betting world, please let me win it. But Yeah, I mean, you know, in a way, it's almost kind of like, to me, the thing that pissed me off that Florida did last week was the thing, and I said this, the thing that Florida could have done for Billy to even have any saving grace to keep his job was to at least just start Lagway. Just let him play. Turn the keys over. Don't worry about the outcome. You could at least, even though you shouldn't blame it, you could at least say, well, we're starting a true freshman quarterback, right? I mean, you at least have a little bit of credibility there, but they didn't do that. And as a matter of fact, they botched that whole situation by trotting out Graham Mertz for a series. He didn't do much. Then they would trot out Lagway. He didn't do anything. Then they tried out, I hate that, right? How do you build rhythm? How do you build confidence? If anything, you've probably shocked these kids into a fact now where they're both kind of looking over their shoulders at the other person. So it's really hard.
And that interrupt you here, but I mean that too. Now, who's to say Lagway wants to stick around as well? You know what I mean? I'll be surprised. I know you're high on Lagway, and I do think he'll end up being a pretty good college quarterback. But I mean, who's to say he's going to stay there after this? I mean, it's been a mess this year for Florida, dude. It really has been.
I mean, it's been tough. I would definitely say, just start Lagway. I mean, Lagway is probably not. I don't know if he's looking over his shoulders. He's chomping at the bit. I think Mertz, if anybody, is looking over his shoulder. So, if anything, you're just going to ruin Mertz's confidence by prolonging this, I would say.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess first things first, they got to make sure they win this game on Saturday first. But I think Lagway, you probably roll him out there. He didn't look great either. But again, when you're getting rotated in and out, that's tough to do. I don't agree with it. Again, it just proves my fact that Billy Napier has no freaking clue what he's doing, dude. He just doesn't.
You go back to the Sun Belt?
Yeah, somewhere. Whatever dumpster he crawled out of. Yeah.
He could end up somewhere. I mean, he could be a coordinator somewhere. I don't know what he would he coordinate? I don't know. I mean, he's more of a CEO type, right? Like where it's not really is he an offensive guy? Is he a defensive guy? What is he really?
I think he'd be one of those guys like an overseer type of coach. You know what I mean? He'd have to be. He sure hasn't done shit on both sides of the ball there since he's been there. I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, Florida's defense has fallen off the map. I mean, they do get a ton of talent. I'll give him that. But how much is that as him? And that might be just the name Florida. I don't know.
Gator Swag says wide receiver coach. Well, the guy, one thing he can do is he can recruit. So, I mean, wide receiver coach, yeah, maybe off-field analyst, maybe Connor Stallions clipboard holder. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
The old Connor Stallions got to get mentioned once a live show.
Facial expressions along with the game. Yeah, I mean, and there's a way to do that. I just don't feel like fucking with it. What you want to see?
We'll take that into consideration, though, Children of the Corn. There we go.
That. Or I'll tell you what we can do. We can do a little something like, oh God, that's
whoa, holy shit! Like looking into a mirror.
Like looking into a mirror, dog. Yeah, there we go. All right, looking back at it here a little bit, we got a little USC at Michigan. Now, if you're a Michigan fan, by the way, great tickets here. Is somebody fucking trolling? What are we doing here?
Dude, bro, nobody wants to watch Michigan play this year, man. And that's the thing I have a problem with. I know it's a live show, so I can get away with this, but like, why in the fuck don't we have any Michigan fans on the show, dude? Anytime we post anything. Last year, we took them to freaking make the playoffs. We took them to win the Big Ten title, and all they did was bitch, moan, and complain, man. We never get any Michigan fans on this channel, which is fine. I just wonder why, though. You know what I mean? I took them against Texas in the points. They got blown out. Christian, I already told you, I'm taking USC in the points here. I think you're on the same bus.
Yeah, I got in on it. I mean, I don't think the line's really moved. I think it moved a little bit, but then it came back down again. I don't know. But I took USC minus 5.5 points here. Yeah, I'm all over USC in this one. I just don't see a way that look, Michigan they're already starting the orgy in the end zone bullshit or whatever the fuck they're doing. I don't know, but Alex Orgy. My problem is, is he probably going to be an upgrade over your boy Davis Warren?
My boy, huh? No, Alex Orgy, I just read the stat today. He's only thrown 7 college passes. That's a starter at Michigan.
Oh, that's probably why he won the job. Oh, no, wait, he didn't.
No. So my point is I mean, is he going to be better than my boy Davis Warren? I don't know. I don't know. He might be I think he'll be able to run the ball better. But damn, dude, you're starting a quarterback's throwing 7 passes against USC, bro, at home in a big game. I mean, I want to throw this out here, Christian. We know what Michigan did last year. We're not going to talk about what they did last year because a lot of those guys are gone. But they did go undefeated, man. They lose this game, they're 2-2 this season.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I almost wonder if because of, and we talked about this a little bit. I think we didn't talk about this on air so much, but I almost wonder with Harbaugh leaving, the sanctions, the this, the that, is Sharon Moore in a lot of ways? Is he a sacrificial lamb for this program? Is he just kind of because they probably could have gone out and gotten a higher profile name, that's had experience and all this and that. I know Sharon Moore coached a couple games when, Harbaugh was suspended last year, but is it, are they doing this, I guess, just so they know there's going to be a major drop off? They just kind of wanted to get somebody just to kind of take the fall before they go out and try to grab somebody else and offer them a shit ton of money, or what are they doing? Because I mean, anybody with half a brain, and we got accused of clickbaiting, and we did, honestly, trying to troll Michigan fans this year. Everybody knew Michigan wasn't going to be what they were last year, right?
Well, try telling that to the Michigan man, though.
Oh, it's okay. I mean, they get to see it every Saturday. I mean, about 100,000 of those fuckers are going to watch it this Saturday.
Bro, I've read a bunch of other shit, man. They think they're beating USC. Easy. Big house. I'm with you. I know there's a lot of crazy people in every fan base out there, but my point is like, at some point, though, how do you not have a quarterback at Michigan? Where's Jim Harbaugh's recruit that he'd been recruiting the entire time he's there? Some 5-star freshman, or a couple of them for that matter. Like, that's my question with Michigan. It's not their defense. I think their defense is good enough to get by. But when your offense is so poor and you can't push the ball down the field, Christian, we see this all the time. It's like Nebraska last year, right? Offense was probably the worst in the Power 5 last year. It really was. It was fucking terrible. Michigan looks kind of similar to that. They got good backs, but everybody's putting 11, people in the box.
Yeah, I mean, you're exactly right. I mean, I think they're there. I mean, they got some talent at the quarterback position. The only problem is it's probably not looking as good as the guy that's been there. Who's it? Davis Warren. I think the reason why he won the jobs, he's been there forever. He probably just knew the system. He knew Sharon Moore. He was his guy, and then he struggled. He came out and he struggled. I think the offensive line has struggled at holding up. I think the run game has taken steps back. I think that the receivers are not as good as what people thought they were going to be. I think there's been a lot of things there that this program just has really struggled with. On the flip side of that, the biggest question that we worried about for USC was their defense. Chris, through 2 games, I'm going to tell you a stat here. USC is 1 spot lower on total defense than Michigan is right now.
Right. And
that should concern the shit out of Michigan.
No, you're not wrong. And that's my point. Is like USC addressed that issue with the D'Anthony Lynn hire. You know what I mean? He is a good D coordinator, and he's proven that again this year with a different team in USC. I am worried. Like I said, I don't know how anybody is betting on Michigan in this game. That's what's crazy to me. What has shown you as a fan, even being realistic about your team, that Michigan can, is going to win this football game? Like Christian, what would they have to do in this game? I know we're stuck here and parked here on this team, but I mean, what would they have to do to win this football game? Create 3-4 turnovers? Alex Orji's going to have to throw a couple touchdown passes? I mean, what would it be?
I mean, honestly, just by injecting Alex Orji in there, unless he's some hype. I mean, I know he can run around and make things happen. I'm not saying that. But like you said, there's a reason why the kid's only thrown 7 career college passes up to this point. So, I mean, for Michigan to have a shot in this game, they're going to have to put the clamps on USC on offense. They're going to have to try to make this and continue to make this a 1-possession game where they can control the clock. They can sort of milk the clock down and down and down. And sort of keep this game in front of them and limit USC's offense. The problem with that is that's, again, the one thing I give Lincoln Riley credit for is the guy can coach the hell out of offense. I mean, he will figure out a way to put points on the board. The thing that's been his biggest knock is defense. You've given him a week of prep time with a coordinator that we all trust, with talent on that side of the ball. I mean, I don't see it happening. I think that Michigan gets down early enough in this game, they can claw their way back. But I find it really hard to believe they're built to really come from behind.
No, you said it best. That's what I mean. I don't see it happening unless they create a couple turnovers. They get to Miller Moss, and still they got to be able to score. I'm with you, but yeah, Michigan. I like I said, most realistic fans of college football knew they were going to have a down year this year, and I think that's right where they're going to be. I really do. I think they're going to lose this football game.
We'll talk a little Utah at Oklahoma State, Chris.
Yeah.
I mean, Cam Rising, will he play? Will he not? Question of the year. Question that fuck we've been asking for what 2-3 years now.
Yeah, I do think he's going to play. No pun intended. But like I said, I think Utah wins this game. I definitely, if he plays, they got the better chance though. But I got Utah on this one. My biggest question is Oklahoma State's defense. I said it before. I'll say it again. Until they start playing some serious defense over there, I know Utah's offense, even without Cam Rising, isn't like electric. But I don't know, man. I mean, I will say this about Oklahoma State. Their offense is very efficient. Boy, what's it, Bowman? That guy's thrown for a shit ton of yards, got a bunch of touchdown passes, but this will be by far the best defense they face.
You said they're underdogs in this, right?
No, they're favored. Yeah, they are under. No, who the hell is it? I can't even. Let me look.
I think Utah was favored, right?
I think Utah is. Yeah, Utah is favored by 1.5 currently. Yep, by a point.
Wet Blanket just told me, and he informed me that Gundy has won 10 out of his last 11 games as a home underdog. I took Oklahoma State before knowing that fact to win this game. Regardless, like I said, I think prep time is a key thing here. I think for me, the thing I look at, for a lot of the same reasons that Chris kind of had said there was, look, Cam Rising plays in this game. Obviously, it's going to be a closer game. The problem is Cam Rising, I know he's played a ton of football. Right? I know he's been in this system forever. I know he knows this thing like the back of his hand. To me, the biggest problem still is you still have to go on the road after missing a couple weeks and play the game. And that's very hard to do. We see it in the NFL all the time, right? Where a guy comes off an injury, especially a quarterback, right? Comes off an injury, and it's like he has to restart and reset and kind of find that groove and that confidence again. If you're Aaron Rodgers, even Aaron Rodgers struggled, I guess you could say. But if you're somebody that you have an injury and you played a lot of football, like you could just turn it back on and probably help boost your team. And Rising's played a lot of football. I'm not trying to not make that argument. The problem is this is going to be, it's a tough environment, Oklahoma State. So, yeah, I'm still leaning Oklahoma State. At some point, they're going to figure something out on the defensive side of the ball. I think they can do enough to kind of slow them down. And it's not a guarantee that Rising plays either. I mean, if they're going to start the Isaac Wilson kid, I believe he's the MILF Hunter's little brother. So we're going to have to kind of figure it out from there.
Yeah, I'm still going to lean Utah either way, even if it doesn't depend on who's the quarterback. I mean, it definitely makes me feel better when I bet on Utah if Rising is playing. But like I said, I'm a big component of defenses. Oklahoma State doesn't have one. If they can somehow bottle up Utah, and slow them down, then yeah, Oklahoma State's going to win that football game. But I'm going to take Utah. I'm going to ride with them. I'm going to ride with the Utes.
They were just $1 away from our favorite number here at the show. $68 to go buy a ticket to that.
Hell yeah, dude.
Ooh. Tennessee taking on Oklahoma action right here, Chris. This is a big matchup right here. This is the one that, obviously, there's a lot of good games on. This one's the one that excites me probably the most. Feels weird saying SEC on SEC here with Oklahoma being in the conference now. And I mistakenly, by the way, I was doing my research and I checked this up. I was looking at total offense and I didn't realize this. Oklahoma's defense isn't that bad. I think they're top 30 right now. The problem is they have not really played anybody, which is what I should have probably said in that.
Yeah, no, we all make mistakes. I'm all over Tennessee here and the points. I could see two things happening. I could see Tennessee winning this game by 3 or 4 touchdowns. Worst, I see him winning by a touchdown. I don't see any way Oklahoma wins this football game. I know that sounds crazy. I just don't, though. I'm not sold on their offense. What's his bucket? Jackson Arnold's been sacked 10 times. Front 7 of Tennessee's looked really, really good. I know you can say, well, NC State's their best team they played. They put 70 on some elementary school last week. I get all that, but I still like Tennessee as a whole here, man. I think they roll. I don't think Oklahoma. Like I said, I got to stick with what I said this year. I said Oklahoma's going 6-6. Tennessee's going 10-2. I'm going with it.
But Chris, that elementary school's Kent State. They're a Power 5 national champion. Get out of here.
No, we don't celebrate FCS wins and non-con group of 5 wins on this show, Christian. unless you're Akron when you beat Mississippi State. Then we do celebrate it. We point and laugh.
Yeah, unless you're NIU or
Yeah.
like you said. I mean,
Yeah.
like beating Notre Dame on the road. Okay, yeah, cool. We
Yeah,
we'll
absolutely.
celebrate that. We'll celebrate it. But yeah, man. I mean, yeah. Look, I mean, I would say we're going to figure out what both these schools are. I don't think NC State is as good as what they were hyped to be. I think Oklahoma, they have struggled offensively. A lot of that's due to the O line not really doing what they need to do. Jackson Arnold's is leading their team right now in rushing. They're banged up, super banged up, especially at the wide receiver position. Get right spot for them though. 6:30 primetime game on Saturday against Tennessee, who looks like one of the scariest teams right now in college football.
Yeah, they do look good, but like I said, we're going to find out who both these teams are after this football game for sure. For sure.
Yeah, I mean, we'll probably, like I said, there's some other games on and stuff. We'll probably cover a good chunk of those games on Saturday. Yeah, go ahead.
But Christian, where's Georgia at? We could talk about Georgia almost beating or losing to Kentucky.
We talk about Georgia almost losing to Kentucky for a second here. Let me learn you something here. I don't ever want to come on here and make excuses for an almost win. Sorry, for a win, but in an ugly fashion, a 1-point win over Kentucky. I'll say this. My whole thoughts on the Georgia-Kentucky game, Chris, is exactly this. I think that Kentucky, again, very argumentative. It's going to sound like I'm making excuses. That's not what I'm trying to do. As bad as Kentucky looked against
South
Carolina the week prior to that, I honestly think Kentucky was looking ahead to Georgia. Because they looked like night and day. They looked like a night and day different team. I felt like both games were at home. Georgia has struggled to play Kentucky historically on the road for whatever reason. And I think it was kind of just a trap game. It just felt like, to me, I think offensively for Georgia, they were super conservative, which I really, really hate that Bobo does that, where he just doesn't want to. You have a Heisman contending quarterback back there, and you decide to not really open it up until the second half and let him try to throw the ball down the field. What the hell are you doing? What are you doing?
Yeah, I'm not a Georgia fan like you are, diehard, but from my eyes, it just looked, to me, it looked like, I will agree with you. The play calling by Bobo was very conservative, especially that first half. And give Kentucky credit here. Defensively, they did a good job. They didn't let Georgia really have any big plays, but it was just a weird game overall. Like I thought Georgia did a good enough job defensively. Mind you, they were out on the field. Georgia's defense was out on the field the majority of that football game. You guys had a lot of 3 and outs, and it was weird. And you said it best, and that's what I was asking myself during the game. I was like, why in the hell is Carson Beck? You guys aren't letting him loose and doing what he does. This guy is a top 10 draft pick in the draft, Heisman front runner. And you guys had 65 yards of total offense in the first half?
Yeah, that's what they said. And you almost wonder, was this like a collective effort where they didn't want to show anything to Bama or some shit for 2 weeks down the road. They kind of wanted to just keep it very vanilla and very plain Jane and just try to, the problem, another big problem that I saw in that game too, was they tried to lean on ETN. They tried to lean on that run game. And the problem with that was, if there was a hole there, ETN just wouldn't see it. He'd dance around. And then by the time he would really make a decision, Kentucky was right there to stop him. And then that's the other problem. A lot of the times in that game, there wasn't really a run lane for him to really to hit. Kentucky was living, at that line of scrimmage. I think, to me, both times they kind of dominated in a lot of ways, both lines of scrimmage.
No, I agree with you. That's the thing. You guys need that Frazier kid back. I know he played a couple snaps, but his shoulder was all messed up. But you guys got to get him back there at running back. That kid, to me, looks like the next Nick Chubb, Todd Gurley type. As much as I like Eaton, you're right, though. He danced around a lot back there, didn't hit the hole hard. I'm not blaming, just the reason why you guys played poorly, but it was definitely the run game wasn't there. Your receivers didn't play well either. It was some drop balls. Carson Beck didn't throw the ball particularly well. Just a lot of things didn't go right for Georgia. Like I said, I'm glad they won because I want this matchup against Alabama to be both, obviously 2 teams undefeated. So it's a big one.
Yeah, and I do think that for both of it, Bama had a game a couple of weeks ago against South Florida. Whatever reason, Bama struggles against South Florida, right? I don't know what it is. Last 2 years, it's been. Now, you look at the final score of that game, you're going to be like, well, Bama beat the shit out of them. Go look back at the box score of that game going into the fourth quarter, because it was a different game at the end of it than it was about halfway through that fourth quarter. I think both these teams are going to come correct on here next week. It's going to be really fun for us to break that down, and might even have a surprise pick in there for you.
Ooh, it's going to roll Bama. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see what that line closes, though. Should be a good football game, though. It really should. We had to talk about Georgia a little bit. I had to give you some shit. It's not very often I get to talk a little shit about Georgia, because they've they haven't lost a goddamn regular season football game since COVID, I think. So it's been forever.
Georgia defense more deadlier than COVID-19, by God.
Yeah.
Well, Chris, that brings us to about 35 minutes. We're gonna do this. We're gonna get back on it on Saturday morning, 9:30 Central Time. Be there, or don't fucking be there, and you're gonna miss out on a great show. So, but we're either way, we're excited. We're hyped up. It'll be a great show. We'll have some coffee. Chris, any closing remarks here for the fans?
Yeah, no, just thanks, guys, that you guys did show up. I know it's Wednesday. It's a little later tonight, but yeah, show up Saturday. Definitely be a longer show. We got a lot of football to talk about. But yeah, I appreciate everything. Love, support. Thanks for liking the channel. Thanks for watching the videos, man. We appreciate it over here. And yeah, that's all I got, man.
Yeah, everybody rest up. Keep those thumbs ready to go. Keep those fingers loose for this weekend. There's going to be a lot of typing, a lot of shit talking, and we're here for it. I-80 boys.